Attention, citizens! Due to the financial irresponsibility and incompetence of your leaders, Cobra has found it necessary to restructure your nation's economy.
Hey, boss, that hissing fool's on the TV again.
Citizens of the United States, I am pleased to announce Cobra's Economic Recovery Plan. If you want money to buy food for your children, take all your valuables to the nearest branch of Extensive Enterprises.
$102 bid for $108.
Hey all you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here, and welcome to a special Tuesday, February 13th, 2024 edition of TNI News. Now for today's video, we're going to be focusing on one topic, and that topic is Hasbro. And Hasbro, once again, is in the headlines for all the wrong reasons this morning. And so I'm going to be talking about why they're in the headlines, what's going on, and just sharing my thoughts about where things are going to be going from here. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys, if you are new to this channel, please do think about subscribing by hitting that subscribe button down below. Also hit the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. That way you can stay on top of all the latest action figure news as it happens. Okay, so now let's get into the crux of today's video, which again is Hasbro. As I said, Hasbro started making headlines this morning, basically because this morning they gave their fourth quarter and full 2023 financial reporting along with their outlook for 2024. And none of it was terribly positive. So, of course, all the major business media outlets picked up on this and started reporting about, Hasbro having a hard time. And of course, that caused Hasbro stocks to start tanking even before the Wall Street and the stock market opened this morning. So I don't think it's been a good day for Hasbro. I don't think it's been a good day for Hasbro stockholders. And, we'll have to see if things turn around. But what exactly did Hasbro report? So basically, they came out and said that their revenue dropped 20% for 2023, and they really gave a very weak outlook for 2024. So I'm not going to go into tons of numbers because I realize most of you, you probably don't trade in stocks. You're not. I don't want to bore you with a bunch of numbers, but I am going to give you a few basic numbers from the report this morning. So first of all, when it comes to Hasbro's consumer product segment, which would include things like action figures, they did report a 19% decline in 2023 from the previous year. Now, there are a variety of reasons for this, and I know because, here on this channel, many of you, you're action figure collectors and that's what you focus on. But you got to remember Hasbro makes a lot more product than just boys action figures. So I've seen comments on like Facebook and stuff of people saying oh, well, of course they did because they got rid of their window packaging. I mean, while I know people didn't like the windowless packaging, that's not why Hasbro's having the problems that they're having right now. In fact, Chris Cox, who is Hasbro's current CEO, actually is the one that brought the window box packaging back this past year. It was the previous CEO, Brian Goldner, who passed away rather unexpectedly a few years ago, who was the one who initially initiated that process of getting rid of the windowed packaging for environmental reasons. So So it was actually the last guy who implemented that, and the current CEO who brought the traditional window box packaging back. So things like that, even rising prices, which yes has some effect, but a $30 action figure I don't think is really what is causing Hasbro's problem, at least not alone. I will tell you things like, Marvel movies not performing as well as they once did, not being eagerly as anticipated as they once were, is probably having an impact when it comes to things like action figures. Same thing with Star Wars. So, I mean, you could say Disney has some of that blame. Hasbro today put some of the blame on things like, the writer's strike, delaying movies and entertainment properties, which, of course, when they're doing action figures and stuff based on those movies and those movies get delayed or what have you, that affects their sales. Probably one of the biggest things, and this I definitely would put on Hasbro management as a major blunder, is the selling of E1 at such a loss. So, going back to Brian Goldner, who again was Hasbro's previous CEO, he passed away rather unexpectedly a couple years ago, but he was the CEO who had this vision of Hasbro basically becoming an entertainment company, going from just a toy company to an entertainment company. And in order to be able to try and profit more from making movies on their properties, they decided to purchase their own, movie company with E1. So I believe that was back in 2019 when that purchase was completed. But they ended up selling E1 and basically changing course. In fact, Hasbro is in today's report kind of billed that, they're going smaller licenses and want to be more of a toy company again, not an entertainment company. But last year, back when they bought E1, they paid something like $4.5 billion for that E1 company. And then this year, or last year, I should say, they sold E1 to Lionsgate and sold it for something like $3.5 million. So they bought it for billions and sold it only for a few million. So that was a huge loss that went on Hasbro's books. And again, that 100%, Hasbro's upper management blundered that whole thing. And that definitely gave them a pretty big black eye. So that, I feel like, as far as their financial woes right now, played a large part. Now, Hasbro essentially has come out and said, again, in today's reporting, said, we're done cleaning up the messes of the past. That was 2023, and 2024, we begin the rebuilding. And, of course, rebuilding won't happen overnight. Now, keep in mind, when they're making these comments, they're speaking primarily to Wall Street. They're trying to convince Wall Street that buying their stocks is a good thing. So, a lot of this is it's a sales pitch, but, they again were saying that essentially 2023 was, cleaning up their messes from the past. And now 2024 begins the rebuilding stage. So we'll have to see if that actually plays out. If Hasbro continues to have really bad, underperforming, financial reports, each quarter, if the next quarter doesn't show improvement, then, things might start to get bad for them. If they can start showing that they're, getting things turned around, then as far as Wall Street goes, things will probably start to improve for them. So this news this morning caused, as you might expect, caused Hasbro stock to start sinking. So even before the stock market opened this morning, in pre-market trading, the company's stocks had already dived about 11.9%. Now, their worst day in stock trading, the biggest decrease that they've ever had in one day in their stocks, I believe, was 18.7% back in March of 2020, which was during the height of the COVID pandemic. So I don't think they're going to set a new record today, but definitely, again, if you hold Hasbro stocks, today probably wasn't a good day for you. It definitely wasn't a good day for Hasbro management, I don't think. And I will tell you that the one area where Hasbro did see positive growth in 2023 was with Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming. It saw about a 10% increase in 2023 over the previous year. Now, the caveat with that is that Hasbro also came out and said that they are expecting that area to see about a 3 to 5% decline in 2024, and they gave a reason for it, and I don't remember the exact reason. I don't follow gaming that closely, so but basically the area where they had strong performance this year is probably, again, they've at least set the expectation will have a weaker performance in 2024 or this year. So they're setting, again, the bar, they're trying to keep the bar low. And then if they outperform that, then like I said, they can come out and say, look, we outperformed what we did. But I do feel like digital gaming is probably in large part where Hasbro's future is going to lie. Also, one thing I want to point out in the report is, for those of you who want to focus on the action figures and blame action figures for Hasbro's problems, they actually came out and said things like Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Furby, which obviously is not an action figure, but it is a nostalgia type property that Hasbro brought back. Those all actually performed fairly well in 2023. So they did actually have some positive things in regards to action figures, even though I know, public opinion of Hasbro, when I go out on Facebook or read comments on YouTube and stuff, Hasbro's public opinion is pretty low. But I think people are still buying Hasbro products when it comes to as far as the adult collector and when it comes to action figures. The problem is the adult action figure demographic just isn't big enough, in my opinion, to support a major corporation like Hasbro. When it comes to smaller companies, yeah, I definitely feel like the adult collector, which I think has grown, can definitely help those businesses. And then again, while Transformers and G.I. Joe, I think, did decently, my guess is things like Marvel and Star Wars, and not really because of Hasbro, but because of Disney, and just that those properties, the interest in those properties, I think, have declined in recent years, especially with Marvel and stuff. The Marvel movies just have not been perceived as well since Avengers Endgame, and I'll let you guys debate on why that is. I'm not gonna, that's a whole topic for a different day. But having weaker performances, that has definitely hurt sales with things like Marvel Legends. Now, I've seen a lot of people suggest, will Hasbro go bankrupt? No, I don't think Hasbro will go bankrupt. I could maybe down the road, not like in the immediate future, but sometime down the road, I could see maybe Hasbro either merging with another toy company. I wouldn't be 100% surprised if one day we saw Mattel and Hasbro, join and become one company. There's been talks about that in years past, but I feel like there's more of an opening for that. And another thing to keep in mind is Hasbro's not the only company having these problems. Companies like Mattel, they had soft sales for the holidays and stuff. They had weak fourth quarter reporting as well. Not quite as bad as Hasbro, and in large part that's because the Barbie movie saved Mattel. Mattel's not in quite as bad a shape as Hasbro right now, essentially because of Barbie. So, a big successful movie like Barbie can really help things out there. So, but again, all the major toy companies, I think, are having to deal with the same issues with declining sales and all of that jazz, rising prices and stuff. So Hasbro's not alone in this. We often focus just on Hasbro, but it's pretty much at least every major company. Smaller companies have different things that they have to deal with, but and I'm not going to talk about that today, but again, with the larger companies, definitely they're all kind of dealing with the same situation, and nobody is like super strong performing right now in the toy industry. Now, one last thing I want to touch upon is layoffs. So you may recall at the end of last year, Hasbro announced that over the course of several months, they were going to be laying off about 1,100 employees. Now, I've not heard anything about laying off additional employees specifically beyond that 1,100 that they announced last year. And I don't know how many of those 1,100 they've already laid off. Again, they weren't laying off all those people at the exact same time. It was going to be something that was going to be taking place over the course of months. So, there's people that are coming into work at Hasbro that could still be wondering if today's the day they get a pink slip, and that cannot be a good feeling. But as far as whether Hasbro is going to lay off additional employees on top of that, it's hard to say. Again, I've not heard anything specific, but I will tell you something that caught my eye was a report from CNBC that said that Hasbro was expecting to cut $750 million in costs by the end of 2025, and that projection was up from 350 to 400 million. So previously they were only expecting to have to cut about 400 million in costs, and now they're talking about 750 million. And unfortunately, you know, when companies are looking to cut costs, oftentimes one of the first things they look at is cutting employees. So, you know, will they cut more employees? I'm not going to say it's definitely going to happen, but it certainly seems like if they've got to, you know, increase their cost cutting measures to 750 million, that the, you know, axe coming down on additional employees beyond the 1,100 certainly seems like is quite possible. But hopefully it won't. You know, I don't like seeing anyone lose their jobs, so hopefully that will not be the case. But definitely something we'll have to keep an eye out for. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. I'll be back tomorrow with a regular news video, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I talked about today down in the comment section below. Now, again, if you are new to this channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button along with the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. I am trying to reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I am getting close to about 66,000. I'm getting pretty close to 66,000, but still a long ways to go to 100. But as I've said, I feel like with your guys' help, I will be able to accomplish that goal. So if you can help me out there, I definitely would appreciate it. As always, guys, stay safe out there, and until next time, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching today's video. Now, if you're new to the channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. For all the latest action figure news, be sure to head over to ToyNewsEye.com, MarvelousNews.com, JediInsider.com, and TFormers.com. And remember, action figures are great,